What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After, Season 8, Episode 13, The Liar, the Witch, and the Post-Nup. Y'all, let's get into Michael and Angela. Okay, they are like their own comedy show. This stuff is so hilarious. I'm just chuckling all the way through it. So Michael and Angela, they're sitting outside some type of a cafe, some outside cafe, right? Michael talks about how the time frame for him to get any kind of feedback from the embassy, that the time frame is unknown. He went for his interview. They need to do some investigation. They have to find out why did he move his case from one town to the other. They need to find out why he was denied previously. So he tells her, well, I don't know how long it's going to take. He had told her previously that you don't have to stay in the Ivory Coast with me while I'm waiting to hear back from the embassy. You can go back to the United States. Well, she was very suspicious of this. Like, why does he want me to go to the United States instead of waiting here for him? Even though she complained about having to stay in the Ivory Coast longer than she intended. But she got upset when he told her, you can go back to America. It's fine. She thinks that he's up to no good. She thinks that he's doing some really sneaky things behind her back. She says something about he just wants to send me back to America so that we don't have to travel to America together in case he gets approved. So she's thinking all kinds of wild ideas, right? So he tells her, well, I don't know when I'm going to hear back from them. Angela gets even more upset when she questions him, well, why did you tell me initially that I was only going to take 2 weeks to hear back from them? Now you're telling me that you don't know. He tells her, well, I'm getting all my information from this chat group that I'm a part of. And she's like, what chat group are you a part of? And it's some type of chat. Well, basically, he tries to make it seem as if it's this really innocent chat group where people who are trying to apply for American visas are sharing information about their journey and their processes and all this and that. But basically, it's a chat group of Nigerian men looking for American women for their ticket to America. Basically, that's it. End of story. So she demands to see his phone. So he gives her the phone. She's scrolling through it. She's looking through it, and she finds out that there's all of these like money transactions, right? I don't know, I guess of him receiving money or giving money. I really wasn't clear, but it's a whole bunch of like this money transaction or money collections or something to do with money. And because she's such a, she wants to control every single aspect of Michael's life. If there's anything going on that she's not privy to, she loses her mind. Okay. So she's never heard of this. She doesn't know what this is. And so she questions him, like, what is this? And he tells her that it's like a piggy bank. And there's different members to this piggy bank, and they contribute money to it so that when any member needs money for an emergency or something has gone on and they need money, whoever's in control of the piggy bank will give them money because, they've contributed to this piggy bank. And he was trying to explain to Angela, it's like my savings. This is how I save money. So she thinks that he's trying to put money away in case when he comes to America, if he wants to like run away from her or get away from her, he'll have money already to survive on. And he's like, Angela, I can't even use this money in America. This is Nigerian money. Like, what are you talking about? And of course, every time he tries to explain himself, she just starts jumping all over him, right? So she continues to scroll through his phone, and she sees the chat group that she was looking for. I think it was called Paradise Men or Paradise Visa or something like that. And like I said before, it's basically a group chat of Nigerian men who are trying to find gullible, vulnerable American women to help them get to the United States. That's basically all it is, I think. That's my personal opinion. And then she really loses her mind when she finds out that Michael is the group administrator of this chat group. So Michael tries to sugarcoat it, and he's like, no, it's not like that, Angela. It's just, me helping people with their immigration stuff. And he tells her that he has no goddamn business helping other people. So then she throws her drink at him, completely douses this man in whatever she was drinking. And he's just sitting up there looking like Boo Boo the Fool. But Michael loves looking like Boo Boo the Fool for Angela. He loves looking like Boo Boo the Fool for Angela because he knows that all he has to do is just stick it out a little bit longer and he's going to reach the promised land. So she throws his drink at him. Angela, like I said before, Angela sees Michael as her property. She thinks that she owns this man because he doesn't have any way of making his own money, or She told him, well, she told him to quit his job. Whatever he was doing in Nigeria, she told him to quit. So now he's completely dependent on her. So she thinks that she owes this man. She thinks that he's their property, and she needs to know everything that's going on with him. Heaven forbid he should have anything that has got nothing to do with her. She loses her mind. So she takes his phone and she leaves. She gets into an Uber and she's out of there with his phone. And Michael is just left stranded at this place with no phone. So back at her hotel, she's still looking through his phone. She sees all kinds of evidence of, this is a chat group clearly of Nigerian men trying to find gullible American women to help them come to America. These women are looking for husbands, they're desperate, they'll do whatever it takes. So, older Americans, did I say that? Older American women. So then she sees information about, like, Michael is sharing with these other men in the chat group. He's sharing information with them about life insurance policies in America, like what is life insurance? How does life insurance work? No, very general information. And then to top it all off, y'all, the cherry on top was when she came across a voice recording of Michael saying specifically that he had posted her 2022 tax return somewhere. Y'all, I truly thought that Angela was just gonna like kill over from a stroke. The level of anger that she was, I don't know if this stuff is real. I don't know if this stuff is true. I have no idea if they're just, scamming us. Okay. That this show is just scamming us. I don't know, because I just feel like it's absolutely insane that Michael would post on the internet her 2022 tax return. I guess, y'all, I don't know what the hell is going on, but if this is true, and he did that, Michael, shame on you. Isn't that like against the law to post or to publicize somebody's income tax information that they filed with the IRS? Isn't that some type of violation of the law or something, y'all? Look, these two people, sometimes I'm like, they're made for each other. Michael and Angela, sometimes I'm like, they are made for each other, because obviously he's putting up with her because he just wants to get to America. He's in so deep already with her. It's too late for him to pull out and to start all over with another older, questionably attractive American woman. So he's going to stick this through until he gets to where he needs to get, which he did. In December 2023, Michael arrived in the United States. And, obviously whatever was going on between him and Angela didn't last that long. So he's scamming her. I have no idea why she's with him. I don't understand. I don't understand why what she saw. I don't know if it was because he was, showering her with attention, and that's what got her hooked on this. I don't know what these two people seeing each other, but y'all, sometimes I'm like, they probably deserve each other. Okay, they probably deserve each other. They're just both out there scamming each other, and TOC is just scamming us with these crazy storylines. Let's talk about Sophie and Rob. Okay, so Sophie and her mom, Claire. By the way, I try to get more. Okay, see, I'm not that interested in Claire's assault charges or terroristic threats against Sophie. The only real toxic relationship that I see is between Sophie and Claire. Her mom getting arrested for assaulting her or for doing terroristic threats. I don't know what she did against her daughter. I think Sophie ended up getting like a restraining order against her mom or a protective order against her mom. Her mom isn't allowed to be anywhere near her. Her mom isn't allowed to contact her. I'm not keeping up with that. It's just bits and pieces that I'm picking up here and there. So I don't know if everything has been dropped or if the protective order is still in effect. But to me, that's the real toxic relationship, is between Sophie and her mom. And it's so evident in this episode here. And evidently, word on the curb is that Claire is still very much using. She's an addict. She's exhibiting addict behavior. And that maybe whatever was going on between her and Sophie was because Sophie wasn't giving her enough money for her to feed her habit. Evidently, Sophie and her mom were possibly living with Kay. They're both living with Kay. And her mom was becoming intolerable. So Sophie and Kay had asked the mom to leave, had asked Claire to leave the apartment. And so she asked Sophie for money. Sophie gave her like a couple of $1,000s, and she needed more money from Sophie, but Sophie wouldn't give her any more money. So Claire threatened to like kill herself if Sophie didn't give her more money. And it's just, y'all, like I said, I'm not really keeping up with it, but there's whatever. I think her mom is always going to be getting in the way of her having a healthy relationship with anybody. Not to say that her and Rob had anything healthy going on, but Her mom is just way too involved. And I think her mom is so involved with her relationship with Rob because she wants Sophie all to herself so that she can probably manipulate Sophie so that Sophie can help her feed her habit. I think that's why she's so hell bent on breaking up Sophie and Rob. But anyway, so Sophie and her mom Claire, they're talking about all the horrible things that Rob has done to Sophie, which now I don't even know what that is anymore. Rob is not, first of all, Sophie and Rob, in my opinion, don't need to be together. Their relationship was awful. It was a horrible relationship. They don't need to be together. They fought constantly. They just were not gelling at all. They're like oil and water. So I don't know exactly the things that they're referring to when they say all the horrible things that Rob did to Sophie. Like, what exactly did he do? Did he talk crazy to her sometimes? Yeah, but I think that she also kind of acted crazy with him. She always put her mom above him. So why even get married if your mom is going to be your priority and not your husband? But anyway, so her and her mom are talking about Rob and all the horrible things he did. Rob had told Sophie what his friend had said, which was Sophie's just using you for a green card. So Rob, I don't know why he would tell Sophie this. But I think he was just trying to prove to Sophie that this is what people are telling me and I'm still defending you. I think that's what he was trying to say. Or he was probably inadvertently letting her know that, that he thinks that maybe she's using him for a green card, but he's going to use his friend saying that as a way to communicate that to her. I don't really know, but he told Sophie that his friend told him that she's just using him for a green card. And he told Sophie that, but I told him I didn't believe that. I don't think he would do that to me. This conversation took place off camera. So while she's telling her mom about this conversation, her mom gets mad at Rob. Like, oh, so he didn't even defend you to his friend. He didn't even want to defend you. But I thought he did when he told his friend, I don't think Sophie would do that. I don't see her doing that. Then her and her mom talk about how they would never use anybody for a green card. And if she was going to use somebody for a green card, it'd be somebody rich, not somebody broke like Rob. And plus, why do they need to come to America anyway? Because in the UK, they have free healthcare. They have, a whole bunch of wonderful things that America doesn't have. So why would she try to scam somebody for a green card to come to America? So really, she came here for Rob. She wanted to be with Rob. So she says that if Rob can't change, she's going to go back to the UK or something. And I'm like, but what is he supposed to change exactly? I mean, I don't even know what he did wrong. I don't remember anymore all the horrible things he did to her that they keep on referring to. So I don't know if he knows what he needs to change. Anyway, Claire and Sophie, they decide to get together and meet up with Rob, which was a horrible idea because, Sophie, your mom cannot stand this man, but then you are still insisting on bringing these two people together in the same space. So they go to a restaurant, and of course, another outside restaurant, and they're sitting there. Rob shows up. And when Rob shows up, him and Sophie are actually having a decent conversation. He's telling her about the cicadas because he can hear the cicadas in the background. And she wanted to know, what was that sound coming from? And so he explains to her they're cicadas. And then he gets his drink. And then Sophie said that she's looking forward to Rob getting a little bit drunk or a little bit tipsy because drunk Rob is fun Rob. And so they're having a decent conversation. All of a sudden, her mother interrupts and says, well, we need to talk about the elephant in the room, which is, y'all's marriage, or just complete garbage. Of course, she didn't say garbage. She used much more colorful language. But she was like, we need to talk about your horrible marriage and how it's just garbage. So we're off to the races. So she starts, talking a whole bunch of nonsense and a whole bunch of crap about Rob and how Rob is not deserving of Sophie. And if Sophie had a father, or if her father was around, he wouldn't put up with her being with a guy like Rob because Rob is so horrible. And anytime that Rob tried to defend himself, both Sophie and Rob would attack him. Like, how dare he try to defend himself from this woman who's accusing him of being the worst thing that ever happened to Sophie. And the mother kept on saying, it's not right, Sophie. Isn't that right, Soph? Isn't that right, Soph? And Sophie was like, well, not really, Mom. Like, she was trying to be like, let me speak for myself. And her mom would get mad if she wasn't also attacking Rob. Her mom brings up the situation that happened at the lingerie shop. And she tells Rob, well, you take my daughter to this lingerie shop or this costume store and you demand that she puts on something sexy. And then when she does, you make her feel this big. You belittle her and you berate her and you criticize her. And Sophie was like, well, Mom, it really wasn't quite like that. And anytime she tried to minimize the horrible things that Claire was saying about Rob, her mom would get upset. Oh my God, Soph, here you go again, melting in front of him. Like, she wants her daughter to hate her husband. And so then I was like, okay, it's either one of two things here. Either what the people are saying on the internet is true, that, this woman is still an addict, and maybe, her daughter is the only way for her to get her her product, because her daughter is always giving her money, or she's just really jealous of her daughter being in a relationship or being in a marriage because she herself can't be in one. But whatever the situation is, I think it's absolutely horrible that this mother is trying so hard to break up her daughter's marriage to this man. I mean, it's okay to give her advice and to let her know, hey, when your husband did X, Y, and Z, you kind of have to consider, like, why he was doing it. Fine. You can point out the red flags and point out the things that he did wrong, but let's do that in private and in a constructive way. If you feel like this is a really bad situation for your daughter, that these two people really don't need to be together. But for you to go and attack her husband so publicly, and then to encourage her to attack her husband, I don't know, that just really didn't sit very well with me, especially since the mother herself has a lot of issues. Okay, you're the one with the arrest record for assaulting your daughter, not Rob. So then the mom, she gets on her crutches and she hobbles away because she can't take it anymore. And Sophie goes after her mom, to make sure that her mom is okay. When she comes back to Rob, she tells Rob that I don't think it's fair that you're putting me in the middle of this. How is Rob putting you in the middle of this situation with your mom? You're the one that brought your mom there. You brought your mom there. And she realizes, because she tells us later on, oh, maybe it wasn't such a good idea for me to have brought my mom. You think, Self? Like, get out of here. Like I said, the real toxic relationship is between Sophie and her mother. I just feel bad for Smell. I'm not saying that Rob is a saint or that he's an angel or anything like that. Rob has issues as well. Okay. Rob and Soph do not need to be together. They need to break up, get a divorce, go their separate ways. They don't need to be together. But they're just a mother like that is like on a whole nother level. Moving on to Ed and Liz. So it's a month since their breakup. Liz and her mom are going back to Arkansas for Liz to get the rest of her stuff from Ed's house, or from the house that she shared with Ed. So the breakup trauma Liz is going through, her crying and being emotional and like feeling really hurt about Ed breaking up with her. I'm just not vibing with that. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's got nothing to do with Ed's looks. It's the way he treated her. He was horrible to Liz. When they fought, he would fight so dirty. I don't like people, when you get into an argument with them, all of a sudden they're talking about your mama. They're talking about your kids. They're talking about, they're talking about your childhood trauma. They're bringing up all the most hurtful things just to hurt you. I don't like people who argue like that. Can we talk about the issue at hand? If the issue is that you cannot keep the toilet seat down, don't start bringing up, how my father abandoned me when I was 2 years old. Like, what does that have to do with the toilet seat? But that's how Ed argues. So we see Ed, okay? He's, by himself in his house. And he tells us that he's done with buying expensive cars. Now he's into boating. And he recently bought himself a pontoon boat. I guess he's trying to prove to the world that he's doing just fine without Liz. So he talks about how, it was just absolutely impossible for him to be married to Liz, for him to spend the rest of his life with Liz. It was just absolutely impossible. And I'm kind of like, they did argue a lot. Him and Liz did argue quite a bit. But he's making it seem like she just did the most. Like, she just did something really awful to him. Like, she was just the most horrible woman in the world. And I don't remember exactly what he's referring to when he says, I couldn't be with her. Like, what did she do to you exactly, Ed? Like, refresh my memory. What did she do? Other than y'all arguing constantly because I just can't get along, what did Liz do to you that was so horrible that you're like, there's just no way I could have spent the rest of my life with her? But anyway, he did accept her proposal. So I'm just kind of like, in that short period of time when y'all were planning the wedding until the time that you decided to cancel the wedding, what the hell happened? Like, what made you come to the realization that you just can't do this? But anyway, On her way to the house, Liz starts crying. Like I said, I can't relate to that. I don't know why she's crying about this man breaking up with her, when to me it's really a blessing in disguise. So Liz and her mom, they're at the house now. They're in the kitchen. They begin packing up Liz's stuff in the kitchen. The kitchen is absolutely nasty. There's rotten fruit. There's a rotten watermelon. There's fruit rotting in a bowl. The air fryer was disgusting. Her mom had to wash it. And the mother asked Ed, why aren't you washing the air fryer? You have to wash after every use. And he's like, I have been washing it. And the mom was like, there was slime on the bottom of the air fryer. Have you been using this, Ed? Because you've been eating slime if you've been using this. That's how nasty it was. Okay, fine. So Liz once again takes out the trash. Now I see why Liz was the one taking out the trash. And he had no idea when trash pickup day was, because he's nasty. He doesn't take out the trash. So Ed tells us that he's usually very neat. And even as he was saying it, he didn't even believe those words. Um, then they start arguing, because they start arguing about, paying the rent, and Liz still owes him for rent. And they go back and forth on that. And then, like I said, he starts fighting dirty, right? He starts saying, well, Liz, you're the way that you are because of your mom. Your mom, because of your mom, that's why you're like this. And so the mom gets triggered, and she's like, what the hell? And Liz is trying to tell her mom, just don't even respond. Let's let him have his moment. Let him have his moment in the sun, because if you respond, it's just going to get even worse. He talks about Liz's mom abandoning her, like you abandon your child. And I mean, it's just really bad. So they're trying to hurry up and get the hell out of there, because it's just not worth it. And TLC, please let this be the last time that Ed is on any franchise of 90 Day Fiance, because there's nothing left to say. We know all we need to know about Ed. He's a nasty, horrible, bitter, hurt man. We don't need to see him emotionally abusing another woman. Moving on to Jasmine and Gino. So they're at the appliance store because their washer and dryer isn't working. They're at the appliance store to get a new washer and dryer set. Why and how they began arguing at the appliance store, I don't know, but here we are. So they start arguing about spending money, because Jasmine tells Gino, well, how come you have money for appliances, but you don't have money for my pageant? And I'm thinking to myself, washer and dryer, which is basically a necessity unless you want to wash your clothes by hand and hang them outside somewhere, or paying for your pageant stuff that's going on in Florida. Which one is more of a priority? But anywho, Gino tells her that he had a conversation with his Uncle Marco. His Uncle Marco encouraged him to go ahead and pay for the damn pageant. Basically, just shut this woman up, pay for her damn pageant so that we can stop hearing about it. So he decides to go ahead and he tells her, look, I did pay for your beauty pageant. I paid them the $1,200, but I used my credit card, which made me think, why would Gino put that on his credit card? Like, I know he's got $1,200 in some account somewhere. Why would he put that on an interest bearing? Maybe it's zero interest. I don't know. But why would he put that on a credit card? I didn't get it. Anyway, so he's like, well, yeah, I went ahead and I paid it, but him paying for her pageant came with conditions. He tells her, okay, now that I paid for your pageant, you have to promise me that you're not going to say hurtful things to me when we argue, and you're not going to start arguments. And Jasmine's like, I don't do any of that. Okay, the fact that you wanted to expose what his sexual problems were, the fact that, he's addicted to porn, you don't say hurtful things, the fact that you say, you talk about how he can't perform, and girl, anyways. So Jasmine says that she's really hurt that it took a third party, Uncle Marco, to convince her husband to pay for her beauty pageant fees. She talks like this man was depriving her of food, and someone else had to encourage Gino to feed his wife. The way she talks about this pageant, it's just a beauty pageant, okay? It's just a beauty pageant, girl. But anywho, so she was like, well, it had to take a third party to convince you to pay for my pageant fees. And then she says to him, a real man is a provider, and, provides for his wife. And then Gino comes back with, well, a real woman an attractive woman. I don't know why you had to qualify that and say an attractive woman isn't argumentative or bitchy. And then he walks away. Mic drop. Who cares? Oh God, I don't really care about Gino and Jasmine. They talk. They're all the internet's talking that they broke up, and she's already with her, new boyfriend. I don't know where. I don't know if it's Miami or New York or somewhere with her much younger boyfriend who has a full head of hair. So all of this is pointless to really go deep into. Let's move on to Manuel and Ashley. So after seeing the lawyer, they're on their way back. They're going to the store together. They're driving to the store, and on their way to the store, they're arguing about Ashley's $100,000 student loan debt. Once again, Ashley tries to explain to Manuel that, hey, this is common in America, which it is. If you want to go to a decent school, like an Ivy League school or something, or if you want to go to a private school, or if you want to get multiple degrees, or advanced degrees, and you don't have the money up front, you don't have a college fund, you don't have a family or parents who are saving money for you, or you couldn't afford to pay for it yourself. This is the American way. This is how education is obtained in America, is you have to go into serious debt. Serious debt. Like, who in their right mind would loan $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 to an 18-year-old in order for them to get some kind of education? But that's just, it's a very crooked system. But unfortunately, that's what it is. If you want to go to school, you're either going to pay for it yourself, or you're going to go into some serious debt. So he doesn't get it. He doesn't understand. So he's like putting her down, like making her feel like, she's so financially irresponsible. You owe $100,000 in student debt, but here you are, spending money on coffee and, you're spending money on other things. What other things is she spending money on besides her coffee? Like, what else is like, he couldn't even say what she was wasting her money on. And then it's her money. It's her debt, but whatever. So the lawyer says something about he might be responsible for her debt as well. So I guess that's why he's worried about it. So, he's putting her down, basically, labeling her as being financially irresponsible. And after he does that, he has the audacity to ask her for $300 to send to his family. And then she asked him, what do they need it for? And he tells her it's not important. In other words, it's not important for you to know what I need that money for to send to my family. Just give it to me. She said she just gave him $1,000 the week before. It's like, I just gave him $1,000. Like, what did he do with that? Ashley, right now, you're just paying for a man. You're paying for a man. And then he tells us, well, she understood what it was when we got married. That, in order for her to be with me, she's going to have to send money to my people. She's going to have to send money to my family. But I don't think she thought it was going to be to this extent. I think that Ashley is a very giving person. I think she doesn't have a problem giving money to his family, but it seems like every single episode he's asking for money to send to his family. So, like, what is this all for? And if he can't give me an itemized sheet of what this money is needed for, then no, I'm not doing this anymore. I've done this too much. No, we're not doing this anymore, Manuel. We are not doing this anymore. Wait for you to get your work permits, and then you go ahead and you get a job and you start sending the money back to your family. Absolutely not. It's like he's taking advantage of her. Moving on to Taeise and Patrick. So Patrick has changed his mind about having his daughter's party at his father's ranch because his father was being ridiculous, charging him to use the ranch, number one, and then expecting him to clean, to fix up everything, to cut the acres of trees, to fix whatever stone stuff that needed to be fixed on the house or what. It was just ridiculous. So he changed his mind about having the party at his father's ranch. Thank God, hallelujah. So Patrick tells us that, since his mom had passed away recently, he wants to do everything for his dad. That's why he is the way he is with his dad, because, his mom is gone. He's lost time with his dad. Okay, we get it. But your dad needs to understand what you've gone through as well, that you recently lost a mother. Okay, the mother that raised you. She's no longer here. And so he needs to be a little bit more gentle with you and not put you to work like a slave just so you can have your daughter's birthday party on his property. So later on, all the families get together. Taese's mom and dad are there. Patrick's dad is there. And they all get together for dinner. And Taeise tells us that after her parents got a divorce, her mom basically abandoned her and she was raised by her dad. But then her and her mom were able to reunite later on in life. So the conversation at the table quickly goes to Patrick's dad charging Patrick to use his ranch. And it was Taese's father, Carlos, that brought this up. And he was like, Jose, what's up with you charging the kids to use your property for the baby's birthday party? And Jose was like, that's none of your damn business. That's where it ended. Jose is a very shrewd businessman, and he says he's retired, so he needs the money and he needs the help. He's very, very shrewd, but to be this shrewd with your own child, and the fact that your child is willing to do this for you, to do these things for you, should make you feel some kind of guilt, Jose, that, it's just bad. It's bad. It's sad. It's horrible what this man is doing to Patrick. It's taking advantage of his own son, charging him to use his ranch for him to have his daughter's birthday party. It's sickening. Moving on to Emily and Kobe. So they're waiting for Kobe's ex. So they're sitting there, Emily and Kobe, they're sitting outside and they're waiting for Kobe's ex because Emily forced Kobe to contact his ex-girlfriend so that she can meet up with them so that Emily can get the timeline right as far as when did Kobe break up with her before he began, knocking up Emily when they were in China together. So two women are walking towards them. And Emily sees them and she automatically thinks that one of them is the girlfriend. And so she tells Kobe, tell me which one it is. So I'm thinking to myself, what does it matter which one it is? I'm thinking that there was one that she thought was probably prettier than the other. And she wanted to prepare herself in case the prettier one was Kobe's ex. That's why I think she asked that. But neither one of them was the ex. The woman kept on walking by. And Kobe was like, it's neither one of them. And I bet she felt like a fool. So they're waiting for the girl to show up. It's getting later and later in the day. Kobe looks at his phone and he's like, you know what? She's not going to show up. I already told her where to meet, what time, all of that. The girl's still not here. She's not going to show up. So then Emily was like, well, if I can get the answers from her, I need to get the answers from you. So she wanted to know officially when did he break up with the ex before she got pregnant, blah, blah, blah. And so Kobe, no, he was like, you know what? It was over. It wasn't like we had a conversation. Hey, we're breaking up or I'm breaking up with you. It wasn't anything official, but whatever. We just drifted apart when I met you and I got you pregnant. It just, whatever. Who cares? And so then she's like, well, I just want to make sure that, you were head over heels 100% in love with me when you got me pregnant. And he was like, yeah, sure, of course. Whatever. And she's like, well, that's all. I think what her issue is, what Emily's real issue is, she wanted to know, she wanted to get some type of confirmation that Kobe would have stayed with her because he was in love with her, even if she had never gotten pregnant. I think somewhere in the back of Emily's mind, there's a little tiny voice that's telling her the only reason why this man is still with you is because you got pregnant very early on in your relationship with him. But for that, you wouldn't have seen him again after that first one night stand. He would have left you high and dry, or that second night stand, or whatever was going on between them. After they got it on and popping in China and he went back to Cameroon, you would never have seen that man again. I think she's really bothered thinking that, well, he only stayed with me because I was pregnant. Which, y'all, that's what I believe. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I will most definitely talk to you later. Bye.